Hello, everyone. Let
Hi.
us let us know if you're listening to us, if everything's fine, if anyone's with us. I think we have no one so far. Okay, we're a small project. We have a small audience as well. So far we have no one joining us. Hopefully by the end we'll have someone in. Remember that as always you will be able to ask your questions live with us. And but I think Bruno, we can start since
Okay,
we
yeah.
want to make it quick today, um, as quick as we can because we're gonna have really good news. We're probably gonna be eager to show you what we're about to show you today. It's one of those happy moments in the company. We've had a lot of struggles throughout the last few years, as you would have known, not only business wise, obviously personal struggles, dealing with COVID, everything. So we're pretty happy to do this live stream, as you're gonna see. Um, Basically, what we wanted to cover today is by now, the first, if I'm not mistaken, the first eight shipments have already been done. Don't quote me on that number because I'm not 100% sure. I should have checked before we joined the stream, but around that number, okay. So we should have eight shipments going through. Remember that we're a small project here, okay? So logistics is hard to deal with. We're gonna be sending all your kits throughout the next few weeks. Okay, so this week and the remaining week, maybe one scattered shipment. I don't know, throughout the next one after that. But hopefully by the 15th of October, we should have everyone covered in terms of having the kit in your hands. We're pretty happy about that. We hope you're too. I've been receiving some encouragement over the emails. I personally handle the emails where we confirm your addresses. Obviously, we want to confirm everyone's address, and if anyone seeing this has contributed to the Kickstarter and has not received an email asking you to confirm your address, please send us an email to contact@chordata.cc confirming your current address and your name so that we can associate your Kickstarter order. Okay, so we can confirm that address and ship right away your kit. Okay. Um, Other than that, okay, we wanted you to have those kits already, and what we're gonna cover today is the next steps after that. Okay. One thing to mention right up front is that we wanted so the development process around Chordata Motion involves a couple of steps. Okay, we're obviously an open source project. What we're going to cover today is going to show you what that commitment also entails. And we also need to cover both the software element of the system, the hardware element of the system, and also as any open source project, we also want to be pretty detailed in terms of documentation. Okay, so this is the three elements of the system. Okay, the system's never complete until we have hardware, software, and documentation, obviously. Now, in the ideal world that we wanted to have during 2020, naively, we thought that we could do these three processes at hand. Okay, so every single one of these processes relates to the other, so we wanted to do a parallel development so that we could release everything as user ready as possible. Now, in this world we live in, as you already know, we struggled to get the basic hardware elements. Okay, finally, the beginning of this year and during the first semester, we were able to get all of the elements that we needed. We had to go to the obviously to the legal testing process. Okay, that's required by European authorities so that we can commercialize this product. And that rush to develop the hardware prevented us from running as smoothly as we would have wanted to with the software element of the project. Okay, so what we have right now is, since we knew that that everyone's nervous about where the money that they provided and that they trusted us is going, we wanted you to have solid proofs of where the money has been going throughout these years. Okay, because we know it, we're regularly operating with it, but we don't expect you to know. We don't expect you to blindly trust us. We wanted you to have solid proofs of what we have been doing, and the most solid proof of all of this is the hardware element. Okay, so what we have right now is the hardware is being shipped to everyone, but we're in the last stages. I would say we're about 99% there in terms of software. Most of the elements that we have preventing us to publish the final version of the software that you will be using with the kit that you're about to receive is directly related, and that's why I mentioned it earlier on the when we began the live stream, to our open source nature. Okay, being open source is not only about saying it out loud every now and then and just putting a repository there in GitHub or a GitLab, which is preferable always, as everyone knows. So being open source is not just about that. It's not just about releasing it and saying it as loud as possible and being linked to other open source projects and working with the libraries that everyone uses. But it's an attitude that also entails some responsibility. Part of that responsibility is making sure that the software that you're releasing can be used for as wider an audience of developers as possible. Okay. For some people, for an end user, sometimes this may be like they may be questioning why that's needed. Okay, so for example, I'm just me right here, and I want to animate. Why do I need someone to be able to develop Chordata Motion? The reason why we want this to happen is that the only possibilities that we have of extending the system as far as we know we can with the open source attitude that we're inputting to the motion capture industry is with usable and readable software as best as we can get it, as we can make it. Okay, so the last steps of the development process that we're right now in are basically due to making that software as readable and as accessible to other developers as possible. Okay, throughout the next few weeks we should be able to release it. As I said, we're almost there. Also, I wanted to mention, once we are done with the hardware, which was the hardest part that we had to tackle, the next steps are just easy. These are the easy stages of the development process. Okay, so we have the software, and then we have the documentation. The documentation is pretty crucial for everyone, just because you want to be able to use the system and have a source of information for whenever you struggle with parts of the process. We not only want you to go to the forum and just start from scratch every time you want to use the system, we want you to have a reliable source of information that's easy to understand and that's easy to tackle, because it's a complex system. Any motion capture system is already a complex system. It's not like turning on your computer and start typing. It's more complex than that, obviously. So we want it to make it as easy for you as possible. Right now, we're as we speak, we're developing both the documentation and some video tutorials for you to easily follow at least the main steps of the usability part of the system. Okay, so those are the two final stages. With the documentation, we're expecting to have it ready around October. Okay, so that will be when everyone will have by then their kits. Okay. So the idea is to have the documentation ready so that when everyone has the kits at hand, you can start playing with Chordata Motion and start moving from there. Okay. Now this is just the beginning. Okay, you're gonna be obviously the earliest adopters, not the earliest because we have had two beta testing groups already. So those beta testers were the first ones to test a completely different and raw system. I think, Bruno, you have one of the earliest versions of Chordata there, which is laughable at this point. Yeah.
I noticed to say that some of our Kickstarters are already beta testers. So big shout out to them.
Those double shout out to both of them. I wish we could say their names, but they have like special pins in Chordata's board. Just for being on board again with this development. But yeah, Bruno, you had the sensor over there. I think it was one of the earliest ones.
Yeah, I have many of them. I have many versions, like just to show the evolution of the system. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see it correctly because of the light. Like this is the one of the earliest, very earliest prototypes I made when it was a solo project. This one was one of the last beta testing when we sent as one of the last beta testing programs. So yeah, the system has evolved
You're gonna
a
see
lot.
it. Yeah, we're gonna see the new sensors in a bit. Just yeah, well,
This
Bruno is
is
already ruining the surprise over there, and so we're gonna see the new sensors. Bruno already made just like a brief appearance, let's say, and we're gonna see it. Just stay with that image that Bruno had of the previous sensors because you're gonna see the evolution. It's quite amazing what we've been able to do with the few years that we are running as a project. Hope you share that excitement with us at least. So on that note, I think we can move to the unboxing. By the way, I'm not seeing the chat right now, so if anyone's asking questions, I'll be checking them when we're getting closer to the end of the stream. In case you have any questions, okay. And remember, you can always send us an email to contact@chordata.cc if you need any questions answered. If you're seeing us asynchronously, okay. If you're seeing us any day other than the live stream, you can also send us a question over there, and we're always eager to ask. Okay. Sometimes we take a few hours, maybe depending on the time we're in, especially right now with the shipping, 1 day or two to reply, but any email that gets to that inbox is replied, just for you to be aware. On that note, Bruno, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to mention, but I think we can move to the unboxing if that's okay with you.
yeah. You mostly cover. It's about being in a about to release most of the. I just wanted to mention that since we are working with Chordata in the underneath is a system, but it's also a framework, a hardware and software framework, which means that it's compound of many elements, and most of them are software elements, and that's part of about what Juancho was talking about. That since we are about to publish many software elements, is something that is taking a little more than expected because of the fact that each repository and each software unit needs to be taken care of in many ways, not just usability for the final user, but also usability for an eventual development. And yeah, as Pancho said, some of the final user might say, why do they need to do this now? It's just, the answer is just, is the only way to do it. Is you need to release something that is usable for a developer and also for an end user, and it's not another way to do it, because otherwise the foundations of a software piece will be not clean or not usable, and they won't work in future. So we want the system to be usable now and also to be expandable for many years. And the nice part about this moment in time for this project is the fact that we are finally setting the first foundations of a solid project, and that we expect to keep growing during the years. So yeah,
That's completely accurate for you to mention, and it's good that you added. Just to emphasize that what you will be receiving is not the end stage. Okay, what you will be receiving is a work in progress. Obviously, you have something that's usable at hand, which is what you're gonna receive, but features are gonna be added as we develop. So we're not only, when we release software, it's not just for you, the Kickstarter audience, to use it. It's just as a project that can last in time, that can expand to multiple features. And with the open source nature of our project, we expect it to expand quite into weird fields that we're not able to imagine as we speak right now. That's why we want to make sure that everyone joining the project, whether as a user or whether as a developer, can work with those units that Bruno mentioned and expand them to fields that we may not be thinking of right now. This is the idea behind Chordata. This is the uniqueness of the open source nature of our project, and we want to make sure that that's viable and that's possible as we move on and continue with the system. This is a project that will take us for way longer. We're just starting basically at this point, okay, in terms of commercialization of the system. And on that note, I think we can see the box, which is
the box. Yeah, that's
which
the
is
exciting part.
the excitement. So this is what you'll be receiving. Okay. I think this sticker is just a test that we did, so you may not be getting this one, but this one will be there, and you have some stickers inside as well if you want to use them for your own purposes. Okay. So once we open this, we're gonna get a lot of elements in there. I'm gonna be showing you a couple. So the main ones are, as I said, a couple of stickers, just a gift for everyone. You're gonna be getting the basic manual, the boring manual that most people never read, but we always ask you to read it because it's pretty important, the information that you have in here. We've tried to condense the boring facts to the minimum, to the bare minimum. So we ask you to read it at the beginning. You're also gonna get
Also to keep it.
Also to keep it, don't lose it. But if you ever lose it, just let us know. Hopefully this will be in the website as well at some point. If not, you can always send us an email, and we obviously will be eager to send it to you again if you need it. So you also have an instruction for the positioning of the sensors. Okay, this is part of the complexity of the system that you will be using. It's pretty basic. Okay, so if you've used any other motion capture kit so far, you're gonna find that it's pretty easy. It's pretty common sense. It's more or less the same structure that the systems tend to have. But obviously we wanted you to have the instruction manual right at hand. Yeah, Bruno?
The position of the sensor is one of those things. So just a parenthesis, we want to also take advantage of this live stream to mention some of the things that you never say or we normally get as questions in the forum from users, and just want to cover freely some of the main aspects. So sensor positioning in the body is something, as Juancho said, is common sense. So if you want to capture the arm, you just put the sensor in the arm. But having a good positioning is something that is not completely, how do you say?
Yeah, it's not just basic common sense. Okay, so it's...
So fine-tuning this positioning is one of the key aspects for a good capture, and that's something that we will cover in the manuals, we will cover in the videos, but still is something to take care of. So when you guys start capturing, this is one of the aspects that you might want to be really careful.
And it's also something you have to experiment with, okay? There's no instruction manual on how to do it. It's really just like using it and see it work. But just be aware, that the quality of the sensor is one area that we've focused in, and that's our job. But at the end, the capture process is also a lot about positioning the sensors pretty well, making sure they're tight. It has to do a lot with the, so if you're capturing human subjects, which we imagine is going to be about 99.999% of the use cases, one of the main things is to make sure that the stripes are tight. Okay, sometimes we focus on the sensors, but it's really like how tight everything is that yields in a good capture. So that's outside of our control, but that's something you have to experiment with, and it's just about using it. Okay, so it's like driving a car basically. At the beginning, you're not too sure about doing what you're doing. At some point, you do it automatically, which is the process that naturally follows from getting these types of systems. And Bruno, on that note, I think we can go straight to the sensors, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Great. So this is what you will see for every sensor, okay? We've made pretty good efforts for them to be as protected as possible, okay? This is anti-static, so everything's covered over here. What you're gonna see in this bags is gonna be one sensor per bag. You're gonna see two types of sensors, okay? You're gonna get 15 of them. Be aware that you can use as far as 17, if I'm not mistaken, Bruno, which is the two modes that we offer for human motion capture right now are 15 and 17.
Yeah, as always, it's a expandable system, so you might also expand it further. But we're working in calibration process, in post-calibration process. We already have this post-calibration process for 15 and 17 sensors. That's something that can be expanded more or less easily, but the calibration process should be expanded in the future. So it's something that we have request of about, expanding the number of sensors, we can work in the future for further sensors.
There you
but
go.
Yeah, at the moment,
so you're gonna receive 15 of these, which is the first thing that you're gonna see when you open the box. Sorry, I don't have it, but I don't have my camera work is not as good as I would love to in order to show you the actual box as it is. I'd rather show you the elements that are in them. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna see is the 15 sensors covered by this anti-static bags, and you're gonna get two types of sensors. Okay, this one, which is just a plain sensor. Okay, you're gonna get 13 of these, and then you're gonna get 2 of this sensor that has, if you can see it over here, okay, like a pink sticker. That one, which Bruno is showing over there, is the sensor, the uncovered sensor. Okay, this is the plain version. This one you're gonna see has a tiny sticker. I think you can see it in the camera right now. Okay, this one over here, it's a pink sticker. These 2 sensors go in the hands. Okay, so it's the final in the line of sensors that covers your hand movement. Okay, so the one that you're gonna put at this point is gonna be this pink sticker sensor. Okay, that's why you only have 2 of them. It's a longer explanation actually why this have a sticker. Okay, they have an additional element soldered in the sensor for you electronic geeks out there who want to dive into how it's made. But basically is that. Okay, so just for you to be aware, this is a special type of sensor, and it's only to be used at the hands. Okay, it can also be used, if I'm not mistaken, Bruno, in other parts of the body, but I'm not sure about that one. Or does it only be? Can it only be used on the hands?
Yeah, that answer is like it's a long complex, answer. It's part of this system. It's meant to be expandable. So yeah, like everything can be used in different ways, but we recommend to just put it in the hands.
It's a longer explanation. It will be there in the documentation. Basically, we don't want to stretch it out to this live stream. It's a longer explanation, but just the basic one. Since we know that 99.9% of the use cases right now are going to be human motion capture, this is just the one that goes in the hands. Okay. We'll expand it. It's just bear in mind that it's a special type of sensor, the one that has the pink dot sticker in it. But yeah, we'll explain further as we develop the documentation. The other thing you're gonna see is obviously the battery case. Okay, and if we take those sensors out.
Yeah, something to mention is that for most of the kits, which are excuse me. Regarding the battery is something that we are not delivering with the kit.
No.
And that's something that you will need to buy in a local store. And yeah, it's not a difficult element to find. It's something that you can buy in any store.
Any power bank, basically.
Yeah. Any power bank that should be rated at 2 amperes or more. This is something really common to find. You just need, I don't know if we have a power bank here.
I don't have mine with me. It will be in the document. So the tech specs will be in the documentation once we have it ready. But yeah, it's just a power bank. Okay, just for you to be aware, it's a power bank. Basically, I think I'm correct if I say that it will be a power bank that you can use for the Raspberry Pi if you're intending to power.
Yeah, basically, the most power consuming part of the system is just the Raspberry Pi. So yes, it's something that you can power the Raspberry Pi. It's something that can power the whole system. Thing is that in the Raspberry Pi documentation, they normally don't speak about power banks, and they recommend to use outlets, wall outlets. How do you call it in English?
Wall words. Yeah. Electricity coming out of your wall. Yeah.
Yeah, and it should be rated at 2 amperes or more.
There you go. Okay, so let's go further with the elements that we have. I wanted to show you the cables. They're pretty basic cables, but I wanted to let you know that you have 2 types of these cables. Okay. Next thing you're gonna see are the cables. You're gonna have 2 types of cables. This shorter cable and this longer cable. Okay. The longer ones are for the for connecting those areas that need basically a longer extension. If I'm not mistaken, it's the legs. Am I right, Bruno?
Yeah, mostly the legs, and from the hips to the arms, or from the back of the back
to
the head, and yeah.
So you will have 5 of these long cables and 10 of these shorter ones. Okay. Again, let's continue. Next thing you're gonna see.
Yeah, I just want to mention, since we are like reviewing the parts,
Yeah.
the fact that these are normal like Ethernet cables.
There
You
you
know,
go. That's important. Yeah.
they're technically called RJ45, and this is the one that is in the sensor is also what is an Ethernet cable connector. Okay, so we are delivering enough of this to connect the whole kit, but this is something that you can buy in your local store, and this particular point, this particular aspect of the development is one of the most exciting parts, because it's something that we develop for a time, we think for some time, and we also discuss a lot with the community. This is one of the biggest contribution of the community to this design, the fact that we decided to use these connectors, which are some kind bulky. Yeah, they are big, and we thought about including other types of connectors, but at the end we decided for this one because they are one of the easiest to find replacements, one of the most reliable in terms of connection. You know, they stick into and they don't go out, and it's also relatively easy to find flexible cables. You know, we are delivering these flat cables, which are the most flexible ones that we were able to find in the industry. And the flexibility is important because flexible cable means that they won't be like moving the sensor by its own. No, the sensor will always only be moved by the movement of the arm. If the cable is not flexible, it might bend the sensor in position, from position. And the moving sensor from the body part means that from the system perspective, the part will be moving when it's actually not. So yeah, cable is important, and this design decision, we are really happy about. The test we made show great results, and the cable is reliable and it's also easy to find. Yeah, this is one of the biggest part of this new design.
Great. Yeah, that's pretty important as well. We want to use as standardized parts as we can. Okay. That's one of our commitments, because we want you to be able to, if you ever need to repair your system, or if you ever need to get a part out and use a different one that you'd rather use for a specific use case, we want it to have as much flexibility as possible. So using standardized parts that you can easily get if you go to any random store, or if you purchase online, that it can be easily accessible. It's pretty important for us as we develop. Okay, so that's quite an important element that Bruno mentioned over there. And I think moving on, we should move to the smaller parts and to the sockets. Okay, this will be 2 elements that you have in bags. You'll have 3 of these bags, and only 1 of these with all the plastic elements that you need. So basically, the socket is the place where you will put. There you go. That's I'll be showing all of them in 1 second actually, and running through every one. But yeah, the socket is just where you will place the sensor. Okay, those 4 holes at the end are basically for you to stick the sensor in. I think, Bruno, you have an end version of how it looks over here. There you go. And as you see, you have those tiny plastic elements that Bruno was showing, which is the main plastic part that you will be getting. It's also the one that is that you will see the most of in that bag, which is this one. Let's see if the camera can deal with that. Maybe not. Okay, but it's just plastic.
It's hard to get focused on.
It's hard to get, yeah. But it's just a tiny plastic piece, okay, that goes to both ends to the sensor. So we can add it over here, and then you can stick, to the socket, and then you can stick the sensor on top, as Bruno is showing over there. Okay, this is the main plastic part. Okay, so the snaps, as we refer to them. Then we have tiny pieces, and I forgot to look at because I was so excited with the sensor, obviously, that I forgot to take a look at one of the nicest developments that we were able to do, which was the hub. Give me 1 second, and I'll be getting to it. But let me get this plastic parts out so that we can show it to you afterwards. But yeah, the hub is something we're pretty proud of, and especially those Those people that were there for the beta testing will be pretty happy to see what we've done because
Yeah, in the meantime, I can show what was the
this is
previous
what it.
hub.
Okay, don't get
The
scared.
prototypic.
This is old. Okay, this is not what you're gonna receive. Okay, this is
Yeah.
nothing like what you're gonna receive. So yeah, this is the old hub, and beta testers out there, remember it because it give them a lot of trouble. Sorry to all the beta testers out there that used this hub. It was not our best job. Okay, I don't know. We were yeah.
It was just the first one of
Yeah.
the first elements designed in the system where the system was something really small. So yeah, we would keep on working with this piece for years, and it didn't change, and it has many flaws. And the biggest flaw was the fact that it has to be connected with these cables to the Raspberry. And
Which
these
gave
cables
nightmares to people. Yeah, I'm sure that some people dreamed, like like got up scared and sweaty just because of being connecting those cables
No,
on that.
myself, I also remember
Yeah.
working with this. I probably the person who worked the most with this hub in the world, and yeah, it was really
Yeah.
these cables. They get loose contacts all the time, and
I've had to resolder those cables myself. So it's something we expect never to go back to. And the reason why is this. This is the new hub. This is the way it looks. Okay, as you see, pretty more slick. Okay, these numbers, by the way, are useful for connecting the default biped as we call it. Okay, so the basic human shape. Okay, that's why we have it. We have them in there. They're called doors, so exits. Those are going to be mentioned. Remember this because those are going to be mentioned for sure in the first few pages of the documentation. Okay, and as you can see over here, we have a connector right there that you can basically stick it on a Raspberry Pi. Okay, I think Bruno has a version over there already connected. Look how slick that looks. Okay, so that's the way it should have been from the beginning. That's the way it is now. And we're pretty happy with this result. You're not going to have nightmares connecting tiny cables. I know you beta testers out there will be thanking us for this. Thank you for testing the first versions. And this is our way of saying thank you. Thanks a lot. It was a great idea to be able to develop this.
yeah, and this is only that also that's something that has been suggested by the community.
There you go.
I don't know. It has also that's something that popped into our minds at some point, but also the community contributed to make this design. The fact that it's a hat, so it's something that you put on top of the Raspberry, and the connectors, you don't need the cables. It's right now seeing it is like really, I don't know, common sense to do it this way. But yeah, it took a process and took some time, and it's nice to have it finally.
And we're pretty proud of this. So you're only going to be getting one of these. It's only one that's needed. Okay, for the 6 doors over here, the logical doors that you have that you can use to connect the sensors. So basically, every step until you get the sensors data into the Raspberry Pi goes through this piece. This is why it's really important. And along with this, you're going to receive some plastic parts that you may have seen from Bruno's example that he showed over there. The basic ones are 3. You're going to be getting this 2 hexagonal parts. Okay, one of them has like a longer extension over here. Okay, and one of them is just the main hexagon. Okay, that you can see, and you can see how it's connected over there by Bruno. And at the end of all of this, as you may be seeing over there in Bruno's example, at the end of this line, you also have a tiny, which hopefully the camera can deal with, a plastic screw that you can use to finish that line of connections over there. Okay, as Bruno was pointing. If you can point again to the screw, Bruno, which is just right at the end. Okay, it's just that end part over there. Is the last part of the screw. It's pretty important that you use plastic screws throughout all of the system and plastic parts because any metal can be interfering with the signal. Okay, that's why we're sending you these plastic elements. So yeah. Okay, so again, all of those elements will be in one tiny bag. You'll be able to identify due to the shape that they have. Okay, 1 second. Let me shut this.
Yeah, something to mention.
Yep.
We will cover this in a moment. Something to mention is that for many of those of the kits that you will be receiving, if you bought the normal ones, not the plug and play version of this, you won't be receiving the Raspberry Pi. No, so that's something that you will need to take care of. This is a pretty common piece. It's something that you can find like anywhere. Nowadays, it's something that is not so easy to find. You might need to order it beforehand, and you might need to wait a couple of months to get it. This was something that when the system was designed, and some years ago, you could buy, I don't know, 100 of these and get it in 24 hours. But right now, that's not the reality. Shamelessly, the electronic world changed 100 degrees in the past 2 years, and nobody was expecting such changes. So yeah, get a Raspberry to start using the system, unless
I'm
you
sure.
have
I'm sure for exchanges that we've had, because we've had to talk to the plug and play buyers that bought a system with the Raspberry Pi included, and we have to deal with that because basically we're as everyone is right now, we're basically out of any possibilities in terms of getting a Raspberry Pi. So my best advice is secondhand market. Okay. Right now, the way to get a regular price is the secondhand market, which is weird. Is a weird situation to be in. We're sorry for you to have to struggle with this. It's surely something we're going to tackle if the situation stays as it is. So if the lack of availability stays as it is, it's surely one of the first things that we're going to tackle to see if we can find a replacement, another type of SBC that's more easily available. But yeah, right now we're working with this because it's changing that would have changed a lot of elements that we couldn't deal with. It just would have extended the development process too much, and we couldn't deal with that. And from what I'm getting from everyone, most of you will already have any version of the Raspberry Pi that works for the system. Basically, any version. I think as far as the Raspberry Pi 2, you should be able to make it work.
The Model 2 would work, yeah, but it doesn't have Wi-Fi
That's the only
built in.
limitation.
So yeah, you can use it with a cable or a Wi-Fi dongle, but it's not so.
It's not as slick.
Not so comfortable to work with. So yeah, we recommend the Model 3B or 3B Plus or 4 even.
There you go. Yeah. So that's our recommendation. If you have anyone laying around, okay, use that, and we'll be working on this and seeing if either Raspberry Pi can manage to the Raspberry Pi Foundation can manage to go back to the type of availability we had before COVID. But yeah, we're gonna see how that evolves. Okay. But just rest assured that will be something we need to tackle if moving forward. If the situation continues. Okay, so other than this, you will have the textile parts. There are many of them. I won't be covering every single one of them. That's really going to be one of the first tutorials because it's one of the main doubts that you're going to have at the beginning. But basically, every part looks sort of like this one. Most of the parts look like this one. Okay, so basically a stripe. It's pretty simple. Okay, you will see that it has this like rubber elements in here. Those are for grip. Okay, so it allows you to it allows it to have more grip over your body so that it doesn't move as much. Okay, so the way to proceed with this is you're gonna get this elements and you're also gonna get the endings of this so that you can close the gap over here. Okay, the way to proceed with this is gonna be you're gonna get the stripe. You're going to put the sensor in the socket, and you're going to get the socket through this, the stripe through the socket, as Bruno is showing over there. This is the final version, how it looks, okay? This is the reason why they come without the endings, and you get the endings apart. It's just that since you're going to be needing to get the socket in. By the way, those of you that bought a plug-and-play version, you're going to get exactly what Bruno is showing right now, okay? This is the advantage of getting the plug-and-play version. It's more expensive for us because we have to do all the setting up,
assembling.
Yeah, all the assembling. But yeah, you're gonna get something like what Bruno is showing right now with every single part. Those plug-and-play buyers, okay. Those of you that that didn't buy the plug-and-play, you're gonna get something like this, and you're gonna have to go through this process. It's quite easy. It's some time, but yeah, hopefully it's fun enough so so that you can get to work with it. As I said, the only thing to take into account is that this rubber side has to go to the end. There's also a better way to get these endings, which we're gonna make sure to showcase in the video. I'm not gonna be covering it today because it will be too long if we go to every detail of the setup of the system. But yeah, there's a way to get that ending over there so that it gets tighter. Okay, we're gonna make sure to showcase that on the video. You're gonna get some different types of textiles, such as this one. This is the one that goes to the back, and this is where the Raspberry Pi with the hub go attached to, so that they can get fixed in your body. Okay. There's also a different one, which is the one that covers the chest. Okay. Which has room, by the way, for those 2 extra sensors over here at the back. Okay. So yeah, but we'll be showcasing all of that in the tutorials that we will be preparing. Okay. The only additional element that you'll be getting is this one. And this may look weird at the beginning. You may not understand what they're about. Once you see the shape, it's pretty obvious. Okay, so it's this tiny, like, I don't know how to name this material. Sorry for my lack of English vocabulary. But yeah, this soft element that you'll be getting, soft tissue element that you'll be getting, it basically goes below the sensor so that it doesn't affect your skin. Okay, so it's another layer of comfort. Okay, it's not mandatory really, but we advise you to use it, especially if you're gonna do long capture sessions. Just it makes it more comfortable. To my experience, I've tested it, and the sensor, since you have the stripe running below the sensor, it doesn't hurt at any point. But just for you to get an extra layer of comfort, this is available. Okay, you'll get a bunch of these, 15, so that you can use one for each of the sensors. And I think with that we're covered. I don't know if I'm missing anything, Bruno, that you can.
No, I just want to mention something that we did. It's
kind of
an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Some of you are, I don't know, geeky technology guys, and notice that the sockets, and also the one that Juancho just showed, the one for the Raspberry, had some traces on, and they are actually made of PCB. So yeah, that's a nice material. That's something that we like to use just for support, and they don't have an electronic use. But since we were building it with PCB technology, we thought that it would be fun or nice to just have something to make use of this PCB. So we included a couple of circuits there. That's something that if you are a hacker, an electronic hacker, and you might need eventually, like really eventually. For example, this one is a real-time clock for the Raspberries. If you buy the components and you solder the components there, you have a real-time clock ready to use. Okay, again, this is something that is not really used for the Chordata system. That is something that since you have a bunch of these, you will have a real-time clock ready to use. If you ever need it, please document it in the forum, because we will really love to see it working. We imagine that it might not happen, but yeah, that's okay. Yeah. And for the other part is, I don't know, it included an ADC, an analog to digital converter, and a bunch of expansion for the Raspberry. I don't really remember. The main part is an ADC, an analog to digital converter. So yeah, just for you to know that this is not something that will work with the Chordata system. It's just something that is made for support. But since we made it the support for this material, we thought it would be nice to take advantage of this.
Also, these are flexible elements. Okay. Any one of you who was there for the beta testing, they had to make these on their own. Okay. So basically, you could technically 3D print a part if you're good at 3D printing, or if you just like to work with materials, you could build something like this, or even better. And if you want to release it, we want to foster this type of developments by the community. So if you want to release it and want to reach us and let us know, like, look, I built my own socket, I think it's better than yours, we're not going to be offended in any way if you say something, if you come up with something like that. We're going to be eager to show it and to release it. If you want to release it to the Chordata community, obviously with proper attribution and on all of that's mandatory out there, we'll be eager to showcase it any way we can. And even if we like it a lot, we can even put it on the web page, on the downloads page for for parts that people can use. The idea of the system was always for it to be sort of a Lego system that you can self-build and and build around it and add to it, even at the hardware level. Okay, so yeah, if you ever do that and you find no use for this part and would like a real-time clock, you will have 15 available PCBs for doing that, and also the extra PCB for the hub and the Raspberry Pi. I think we're covered, Bruno, but I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to explain or add.
No, I think we're covered, but we can answer this question, which is a really nice question.
The only one we have, from G.
Jaikas, yeah. So he's asking if in early version of the Kceptor, the Kceptor is the main unit, the sensing unit, which uses mostly an IMU, which is an inertial sensor, okay? An accelerometer and a gyroscope and also a magnetometer. We use this model from the ST Microelectronics, which is called LSM9DS1, okay? So that's the sensor we always use in Chordata, and it seems like the best choice at the time that we designed this Kceptor, okay? So what we normally do in electronics is before building something for production, you take a look at the parts that you're about to use, and the manufacturer normally gives you an estimate of how long a particular part will be maintained in the market, okay? So at the moment we built this, the LSM9DS1 was labeled as active, so it means that they had no intention of deprecating it, okay, in the future. I don't know, something happened in the production line. During this pandemic, a lot of things have happened. The production lines of every electronic manufacturer had changed, and they had to adapt to these new scenarios. And as a result, right now, they are announcing that this sensor, the LSM1, is about to be deprecated. So yeah, in future versions so this might be one of the few batches of Kceptor that actually implements the LSM9DS1, because it won't be available anymore. We will have to adapt the design to another parts. There are many other parts available, so that's not a problem. But yeah, it's a shame. It's basically only a shame because we made a design that we have to tweak.
Yeah, and also it's a way of saying you have a collectible item over here, because it will be probably one of the last parts that so readily exposes one of these sensors, because basically they're lacking right now, either lacking or crazy expensive. So nowhere where
they're crazy expensive because they're not about to not being produced anymore. So we are a small company. For us, changing a design is not something terrible, but for a company like producing 1 million units a month of something that implements an LSD1 is a big trouble. So they might be buying everything that is out there. And yeah, that was also the biggest of our problems regarding supply of electronic parts. This particular sensor.
I think it was one of the last ones that we received, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually the hardest part to get.
Yeah. So good question over there. And feel free to send any new ones if you can during the next few seconds. We have a small audience. Again, we're a small project, and we get really proud on that. So we have a small audience. Thank you for the question, Jaikas. He's thanking us over here in the chat, and thanks for joining us. And yeah, I think on that note, Bruno, I think we can end it. We don't want it to be as exhaustive with the hardware today. We just wanted you to understand what you're getting, just not to be overwhelmed with the hardware box that you're about to receive. Again, let me remind you, if you have not confirmed, you should have received. Everyone that was in the Kickstarter should have received already an email asking for confirmation on their address for the shipping. Okay. Most of you have already replied. We're still missing some replies. If you haven't, or if you have not received any sort of email, which is strange, but maybe the internet sometimes does its magic. If you haven't, just make sure to write us to contact@chordata.cc, specifying your shipping address and a contact telephone number that we can use for the shipping provider to contact you in case they need to for the shipment. Okay, it's only for shipment related purposes. We don't use that information for anything else. Other than that, reminding you again, the shipments will be done throughout the rest of this week and next week. Any spare ones that we are left with may be done after that. But that will be for instance, with cases where we have not received the confirmation on the shipping information or something like that. Be aware that the limit is the 15th of October. If we don't have your address by the 15th of October, we're going to ship the system with the address that we have already, either because you send it to the Kickstarter page when we send you the questions that we send through the Kickstarter page, the question form that we send to the Kickstarter page, or if you send it by email afterwards, which some of you did. Also, if you're joining us and you're seeing this from YouTube and you're part of the pre-order batch that was ordered by 2021, beginnings of 2021, if I'm not mistaken, be aware that as soon as we get done with all the Kickstarter kits, yours are going to come, okay? So yours are going to be the last ones to ship, but just be aware that it will also be included in this batch of shipping. Okay, so it's going to be one regular batch. They're going out of our offices as regularly as we can, as fast as we can. On that reminder, I think we can finish it up for today, Bruno. We've done about an hour, so longer than we expected, but we wanted to cover a lot.
Longer than we expected. It's like the fact that we are excited about this product.
It probably shows. Thank you for the comment, Gigaikas. He's doing some encouragement. And Blush for this last comment. And it's a nice note to end. So he says it's a great product with a lot of potential. Well done. Thanks for the encouragement. And hopefully we can keep up with with this development. We want this community to grow. Again, final note. This is just the beginning. Okay. What you're gonna get, it's nowhere near what we expect this to be in about a year or two, not too far in time. We're doing a lot of efforts, and we'll have more news as we continue. I think we're gonna continue with this format of live streams very loosely because we're a small team. We put on a lot of hats. Okay, so I'm personally on the business side, but I'm also shipping systems. I'm also communicating with all of you personally. My name is there. It's not a random person that's just using my name. It's really me typing those emails. Okay, so we're a small team, but we're doing a lot. But we have, I think, good news because the team is growing. We're becoming more professional. The sensors are looking more slick. Everything's moving forward, and we're gonna continue with that. Okay, so everything in our minds, it's just aimed at continuing to improve and continue to offer you the best possible motion capture system that we can offer, and doing so with open source values. Okay. So I think, Bruno, on that note, we can end it for today and leave you all and just say good night if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, yeah. Good night or good day
or good, depending on the time zone you're joining us from. Good night, good day, good rest of the day. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the weekend, and make sure to contact us if you're as eager as we are with once you receive your Chordata Motion Kit. And nothing else so far. Thanks for your time today. You wanted to say something, Bruno?
No. Something nice would be if you receive the kit to just post something in social networks so we can.
That always helps.
This is something that
and like and subscribe and everything, and all of the gist. So thanks for your time today. We're not gonna be extending it, and we'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.
Bye.